Thanks for being here this afternoon. We have a lot more projects and initiatives to speak about. It's going to be terrific to hear. I mean, it was so exciting to listen to the things that were happening this morning. Just so much activity around hydrogen and around the work to help with climate change. And so we're going to start this afternoon's activities. We're going to start with a keynote video from retired U.S. Army Major General John Wharton. John, it turns out, is a friend of my wife's. And they had not spoken in some time. She is a retired Army Colonel, Corps of Engineers. He is a logistics officer who ended up commanding the Army's Research and Development Engineering Command. And sometime during that process of their careers, they knew each other. And when I learned that he was going to be on this program, I told her about it, and they started texting again. So that was all cool. So thank you, Bioeconomy Forum, for putting those two back together. General Wharton has a reputation as someone in the Army who understood the foundations of what's necessary for the Army to move forward. So if you're somebody that's into doctrine, if you're somebody that's into the implementation of that doctrine or into the equipping of the force, all of that has to start with the basic research and development aspects, and that's what Major General John Wharton was involved in. So without further ado, go ahead and take it away, Sid.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you here today. Thanks for having me. I'm General John Wharton, now from the U.S. Army retired, but I appreciate you letting me spend a little bit of time with you. My apologies for not being able to be there and attend in person. You know, I may be the only person who turns down a trip to Hawaii, but I had a previous commitment doing what we're doing here and speaking about energy up in New York City that precludes me from being there. Now, I am familiar with Hawaii. I've had 5 years there. I was an inspector general in the Army's command there, and I've been up at Schofield Barracks and in my brigades. I've commanded over time. So it's been nice to come back and talk about Hawaii. But before I begin, let me first thank our sponsors for putting this event together, and especially Janice Coe, whose effort and energy is who made this possible. But I think the subject matter here today is very timely and important in many different ways, whether you talk energy, whether you talk climate, whether you talk preservation of our resources. If I were to say what the Department of Energy comment, they would say that we're in a climate emergency, we're in a crisis mode. And therefore, they're putting a lot of research and development into renewable power, electric vehicles, carbon capture, and resilient grid infrastructure. Now, all those are very important for Hawaii. And it's not just the Hawaii as is, it's the Hawaii of where you need to go and how you need to change and have multiple solutions for the future. So what I hope to leave you with is that I believe that Hawaii and the Pacific Rim countries and other global countries, can lead the way in decarbonization. I certainly feel within the United States that Hawaii is postured to do that and lead decarbonization. And that'll include, and that also the other benefits obviously are affecting climate change and the quality of life. But more importantly, you're also bringing resiliency to the state as you introduce hydrogen capabilities and other forms of energy. Now, I want to give you a little bit of my background, how I got into this. You say, here's an Army general and former general who's now into this. Well, I used to lead the Army's research development engineering, and that was 75% of the Army's S&T budget. And it covered all sectors and all fields that you talk about. And energy is certainly one of those sectors, and batteries and storage capabilities and what we would use for the military and the private sector. Because what we did in the Army labs was dual use technologies, meaning that what we're developing in the science and technology also had purpose in the private sector. So I had about 13,800 scientists and engineers. You can read some of that in my bio, but over 1,000 agreements with industry and 1,500 with academia and 500 with DoD labs. Now, this was in my last assignment there. But the E in those days, RDECOM, which is now Combat Capabilities Development Command, was for engineering. And we ran the science and technology programs and competed for national manufacturing innovation initiatives, which we won 5 of the 7. And those were presidential level innovation initiatives to stimulate economies as public-private partnerships. But the other fact that I'll tell you about the organization is in the dual use technology is that our funding over time for those dual use technologies funded 23 Nobel laureates. So when you think about the Army and you think about the future, you think about everything there, there's a whole part that's called science and technology that's working these capabilities both for the government and the private sector. Now, currently, I am the CEO of what's known as the Global Connective Center. And that's an apolitical, nonpartisan environment. And what we do is we're at the intersection of what we like to say technology, humanity, and the earth. And our focus is on really building resilient and sustainable cities, region, and zones. And what we do is we look at all sectors, whether it's infrastructure, energy, transportation, telecommunications, food security, agriculture, healthcare, education, financial, and we help build countries' economic development plans and ensure their stability. So as we're here talking today about Hawaii and the Pacific Rim, what we do is we go down, we're going to focus on energy and within the energy stack of multiple capabilities that are there. Now, you'll hear a lot of people in technology. We use technology as a benevolent form of building partner capacity around the world. It's just trying to help humanity. It's improve a quality of life. Technology shouldn't drive things. It should be the enabler to improve human life and quality. So when I heard the term of smart city, when I transitioned out of the military, I really didn't like that because there's third world countries who want to modernize also, and they want to have the latest energy solutions, the latest technology, but they may not be able to afford it, or their economy doesn't allow them to buy it. So more appropriate is resilient and sustainable cities, zones, regions, not to imply that you're not smart because you don't have a technology or you don't have the resources to get there. So we continue to work economic development for countries, their modernization strategies. We're global. We're in the ASEAN, Middle East, Latin, South America, Southeast Asia. We're heavily involved in helping Puerto Rico and Ukraine as we speak. And we support UN Sustainable Development Goals, again, as a kind, benevolent way of trying to improve quality of life for those who are less fortunate, underserved, and underprivileged. But the thing that we do is we bring a system of systems approach to the problem. We coordinate, synchronize, and integrate across all those sectors and all those verticals so that you don't do one thing independent of another. If you put in an energy solution, are you tying it to the telecommunications? Are you tying it to your storage capabilities? Are you tying it to your transportation networks and other things that are important there? And that's what we try to coach and teach countries, that it's not one stovepipe for a solution. I had a country in Asia ask me to come in and write an economic development plan, and they wanted to offset their sole dependence on fuel. And I said, well, what do you want? And they said, well, 5G. And I said, why? What do you not have with 4G or 3G here? And they said, well, can you help us with our way ahead in our roadmap? And I said, sure. But my point is trying to understand what is the need, what is the requirement there in the system of systems approach. So it really goes back to part of what we're talking today is when we talk about energy, it's optimization strategies and what is the right mix, the right benefit, what is right for Hawaii, what's right for the Pacific Rim, and no two countries are the same. However, we do know that 80% of the current demand of final energy demand is served by high carbon dioxide emitting fuels. And that we do know as a fact that zero carbon substitutes will be key to full decarbonization. Now, I don't want to, again, I'm apolitical, nonpartisan. I want to just present facts and optimization strategies for every organization, country, business to consider. As we move to alternative fuels, it doesn't mean that we're going to lose fossil fuels altogether. We still will have a big need for fossil fuels. However, if we're serious about decarbonizing, we have to come to the right strategy and mix. Okay. So I wanted to say a little bit about the national averages, and that right now, if we talked about electricity sources, about 36 to 37% of our energy sources come from natural gas. Still, 22% come from coal. Nuclear has about 19, wind about 9%, and hydro is about 6. Now, I expect those numbers to change as we get more used to working with hydrogen. It's just like our electric vehicles. We need to put more charging stations around the United States, and that's what we're doing. Solar is about 4 percentage points, and then you have biomass and other things down there. But if I were to give you on Hawaii, which I have a close relationship with my friends who are still there and always coming through. If you're an electric vehicle, you're putting out about 2,800 pounds of carbon dioxide equivalent. But if you're a gas vehicle, you're putting out about 12.5 thousand pounds of carbon dioxide. And these are reasons why you want to think about how you posture yourself for the future, not just in Hawaii, but in other Pacific Rim countries. And some of those countries that are so dense, their populations so dense, whether it's Malaysia, Indonesia, whether it's Korea, you want to really think about that. So when you talk about carbon emissions, vehicle emissions, you're really talking about air pollutants, you're talking about greenhouse gases and things of that nature. Now, what's important in Hawaii are some of the tougher challenges as you move and have alternative forms of energy, because the marine shipping, the aviation fuels are especially difficult. That's why I think Hawaii is very prime, because of everything that's very much in a compact area with automotive vehicles, and then the shipping capabilities, and then the large dependency on aviation. So as you think about where we are as a country, you think about the political, you think about a lot of the funding ways. I think that you have a lot of options there, and you have a lot of funding that not only is from the private sector, but also the public sector. And that's part of what's happening now, that the Department of Energy is sending out a lot of funding that is increasing, executing the president's guidance to lower carbon emissions. So as you think about today, and you think about the 9th annual, Hawaii Bioeconomy Forum, it really, in my mind, when I read it, it's to think about potential paths forward. And it's not to take an all or nothing approach, but it's an optimization strategy for sustainable development and sustainable resiliency. So, and as you think about the companies that are there in Hawaii, which do present 100% of the electricity there, I want to think about the future as you're moving, and how do we establish that resiliency and that sustainability? And as a business, how do you change your business model slightly to accommodate for a more of a carbon-free environment from that standpoint? So as we talk about some of those alternative forms, hydrogen is obviously very near and dear. The ability to separate the water into its component parts give us a lot of capability as we move to the future. But as we move there, hydrogen, natural gas, there's different types of fuel, and it may be an evolutionary status for the state and for the countries. But again, if I start with the Department of Energy, who believes we're in a climate emergency, with the challenges we face, they're putting a lot of money into research and development. And it's going into things like hydrogen, it's going into battery storage, renewable power, electric vehicles, carbon capture, and resilient grid infrastructure. So when you think about Hawaii and you think about those subjects that a lot of funding is going to, it tells you we're moving that way as a nation. And Hawaii, again, I think can lead this and drive it and set the example of moving to carbon-free and an energy efficient economy. So as we look to the future and we look to alternative forms of energy, whether it's electricity, ethanol, hydrogen, natural gas, propane, renewable, or renewable diesel, it's really, again, finding that optimum solution. Now, the thing I liked and the thing I really appreciate, because Hawaii leads the way and the state energy office leads the way. I know that there was, when I was there years ago, there was a standing MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, with the Department of Energy and State of Hawaii. And it was a collaboration. And I'm going back on my history here. I haven't gone back to do all the proper academics, but it was that the state was going to try to move to 70%, produce 70% of its energy from energy efficient and renewable sources by 2030. So when you look at where you are now, that gives you a little bit of a ruler to think about how you're going. But it also said by 2045, it was moving to 100%. So I haven't been there and lately and understand what if the goals have changed or moved, but those are ambitious goals. But again, those goals will help let Hawaii lead the way for the country. And I think that it's all part of what used to be I remember the Hawaii, I think, Clean Energy Initiative in those days. So as you move forward and you think about what's going on now and participating in a regional clean energy hydrogen hub and alternative forms of energy, we'll try to use the bipartisan infrastructure law to get some other funding in for those programs. But I think, again, Hawaii is best postured because if you think about it, if you think about all the different sources of energy for Hawaii, whether it's sun, earth, water, wind, agriculture, geothermal, and other means that store that with microgrids and grids, again, I think there's no other state that's postured like that. If you were to take a military look at it, you have the country's one of the geographic Indo-PACOM who's out there, a geographic combatant commander, and the component headquarters. So there's other needs there as well as HICM, as well as Honolulu Airport and things of that nature. So with all the shipping and all that, the ability to move to clean hydrogen, and I think Hawaii has been out there leading for at least about 2 decades now from that standpoint of my days remembering that. So Hawaii, and if you talk about alternative forms of energy, really supports not only local, national, but also regional security for the United States. So there's many different benefits from there. And I do think Hawaii can be postured to be the first state in the U.S. To decarbonize. And it's always been a national and global leader in renewable energy and quality of life. And when you think about the vulnerability to climate change, and you think about that everything has to come into Hawaii, for example, the ability to go to alternative forms and hydrogen in this case allows you to reduce costs, reduce prices, so that you can be your energy costs can be minimized. But the isolation of Hawaii alone drives up prices, and then how much can you sustain those, or how can we bring in alternative forms of that? So as you continue to look to the future, public-private collaboration, community, industry, the universities in Hawaii offer a tremendous amount of experience and dedication. They're completely committed to some of the national priorities of diversity, equity, inclusion, accessibility, and that all the people on Hawaii are people contribute to 100% of the state's electric grids. So I think you have a tremendous opportunity there. And you're also supporting the President's Justice 40 initiative that benefits historically disadvantaged communities. So as you think about the future and you think about what is there, remember that there were times where power has gone out on man-made disasters. And it's what we're doing with right now in Puerto Rico, is trying to build a resilient energy capability there. But in Hawaii, you had your own disasters in 2001, 2006. I think the last one was maybe 2011, where you may have lost power and there was not necessarily a good backup system, and that may be another use for renewable energy to bring there. And again, I think that some of these hydrogen fuel cells and storage capabilities are, as you modernize the state and move to the future. I think the good thing is that you have the support of your governor, who's on point. He wants to drive it, he wants to lead it, and the energy office is all behind pushing that forward. So there's many reasons of why and how to move to a renewable energy construct for the state of Hawaii. So I wanted to just take a few minutes to, again, thank you for letting me just spend a little bit of time with you. The subject you're talking about in this conference is so important. It's timely, it's important not only from an energy, renewable energy, alternative energies, but for our climate and the preservation of resources. And then again, the quality of life for the folks on in Hawaii and then throughout the ASEAN and Pacific region. There are challenges. It's not just, okay, let's move to hydrogen. There are expenses. There are technologies that we're developing and improving to try to lower costs. There are some things in energy efficiency through the transmission lines that we're trying to transport hydrogen over. And then you have to configure your country or the state with the proper hydrogen fueling stations. So it is all about, again, challenges, opportunities, and the choice to make a difference. But in my mind, there's no state better postured to make a difference than Hawaii. And I mean that. And I spend my life around the world looking at countries, helping states, industry, and nations prepare for the future and modernize their strategies. So I think you can make a difference. Hydrogen and all the capabilities that are there in alternative fuels as you transition. It's not an all or nothing. And will another fuel system go away? Maybe not. Maybe that timeline will drag out. But when we talk about energy, climate, preservation of resources, we need to think through that and establish the right optimization strategy. So, and I think those optimization strategies can be complementary. So with that, I'd say thank you again for letting me spend a few minutes with you. It's an important time, a great subject to make a difference on generations to follow, build that resilient and sustainable Hawaii and Pacific Rim, and just do good things for not only for humanity, for your people, for using technology, but also the climate and Earth. So thank you very much for letting me spend a few minutes with you. Thank you.
Well, obviously, thanks to General Wharton for making that very detailed, nuanced conversation with us. It's really much appreciated. I'm sure that Janice will be in contact with him as well. At this point, then, we will move into a discussion of the potential of hydrogen for decarbonizing steel production. Mr. Sid Rue, who is the chair and CEO of the Cost Group. I'm looking forward to Mr. Rue's presentation, and here he is, please, Mr. Sid Rue.
안녕하십니까? Aloha. Good afternoon. I'm Sid Ryu, Vice Chairman and CEO, KOS Group, located in Korea. First of all, I want to thank you to Janice Go, CEO of SNE Solution, for inviting us here today. Congratulations on the 9th, the Hawaii Bioeconomy Forum. It is a great honor and pleasure to be here today. Please allow me to introduce our businesses and the various businesses that we have a partnership with SNE Solution. Our main business is stainless steel wire and cable manufacturing. More than a half a century since the establishment of the corporations in 1969, we have contributed the benefit and growth of customers by ensuring the highest quality in various industries today. So through sales offices around the world, we are working get closer and faster with the customers. We have 11 factories worldwide, 7 factories in Korea, and 1 in USA, and 1 in Czech Republic, and 2 factories in Vietnam. We also operate 3 golf courses, including Macaulay in Big Island, Hawaii, and plus 1 in Korea, and 1 in Czech Republic. And we are doing our best to meet the customers' requirement in ski resort during the winter season in Korea. So let me introduce our main product. One of the main products is ultra-fine wire made of stainless steel. I have a question for you. Can anyone tell me how thin your hair is? A single strand of your hair is? Maybe Doug? Normally 80 to 120 microns. So our ultrafine wire goes down to 11 microns, which is 1/10 of your hair size. Ultrafine meshes made out of wire are very essential for semiconductor industries and solar cell manufacturers. They're using the technology of screen printing technology. And also we produce special steel, next one, such as a titanium wire and high nickel alloy wire are used for rivets and fasteners and bolt and nut for aircraft. Based on the high technology, excellent technology of the wire manufacturing, we have also made a foray into medical materials, such as guide wire, and catheter braiding wire, and medical coils. Our products support various fields without wavering as a deep-rooted trees. As you can see the slide, the wire has applicants in aerospace, medical devices, general industry, automotive, and home appliances, and renewable energies, constructions, and marine and others. Now, around you, I'm pretty sure that you can find at least 5 to 6 items that made of our part, made of, our wire, so such as like cell phones, laptops, and hand sanitizers, shampoo, and body lotion containers, etc. Currently, more than 1,300 customers in 56 countries worldwide. They are using our wire in over 16,400 products and items. In parallel with existing businesses, we are carrying out various new businesses for sustainable management required by our society. First, we are developing future healthy food products that care about environment and human health through the subsidiary, the BINT. Next, we are planning to enter a new and renewable field, such as aerospace and wind power, through the development of the material which is much lighter and much stronger, like carbon fiber composite. Our R&D center is developing specialized steel for hydrogen businesses, which will need a lot of new grade that require high resistance against hydrogen embrittlement. So I want to emphasize a little bit more about hydrogen businesses. As we are still company, it is possible to engage the business networking with a lot of steel companies at home and overseas. So the coal that many steel mills use to make iron emits a lot of carbon dioxide, which is the leading cause of global warming. So if these steel mills, they use hydrogen instead of fossil fuels, they can produce their product without carbon emissions. So these steel mills can be our huge potential market, not only in Korea, but also in other Asian countries like Japan, Vietnam, and India, and other global countries. So we can use our sales network to expand the businesses. I lost the page. Okay. So the world is now facing a great transformation of energy policies. We are in the midst of climate change caused by global warming, and we are worrying about a peaceful and safe future for mankind. I understand that Hawaii had a lot of concerns how to improve its traditional fossil fuel into clean energy systems. With such a concern and effort, there had been a lot of progresses in converting to renewable energies with the proportion of 38% in 2021. So in order to achieve net zero by 2045, an energy policy using hydrogen will be considered as a very important strategy. Accordingly, KOS Group, along with SNE Solutions, will take a step toward a sustainable future in Hawaii. Thanks so much. 감사합니다. Mahalo. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That was terrific. Really appreciate that effort. Our next speaker is Mr. Glenn Scott, and as he comes up, I'm going to embarrass him just because I can. You know, when you're the MC, you get the opportunity to do that kind of thing. But as you guys are taking a look at the bios, right, and we see the pictures, and clearly, you know, Representative Sayama, he's the best looking just because he's the youngest, but the coolest picture is clearly Glenn Scott's. I think we would all agree, right? And so we're very pleased to have Glenn here. He's the CEO and Executive Director of MIC3 International. There are so many things that they've been involved in over the years. I won't go through that necessarily, but what he's going to be talking about today is he's going to be talking about digital twins, which I have no clue what that necessarily is, so I'm looking forward to hearing about it. Mr. Glenn Scott.
It's the only biopic. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Aloha. Thank you for that great introduction, and that's the only bio picture I have. You won't find me on the internet. I'm anti-social media and everything else that goes with it. So it's the one and only picture. Before I get going with the presentation, I just wanted to take 1 minute. It's my first trip to Hawaii, and I just really wanted to thank Brad and Mike and everybody for inviting me here. And Janice, your hospitality and arrangements has been absolutely phenomenal. So I just want to say thank you very much as well for everything that you've done. Also for hosting us at this beautiful facility. It was pretty mesmerizing coming in here. And I just while I was sitting there, I decided to look up the word aloha and just get to the meaning of it, because I see everybody uses it all the time, and I thought, let me just check what it says. And according to Wikipedia, is the Hawaiian word for love, affection, peace, compassion, and mercy. And it's commonly used, obviously, for simple greeting, but a deeper cultural and spiritual significance to native Hawaiians, from whom the term is used to define the force that holds together existence. And I think that that's pretty profound. In my birth country, I'd like to share something with you as well, which is South Africa. We have a similar word. It's called Ubuntu. I don't know if any of you have ever heard that word. It was made famous by Mr. Nelson Mandela. And Ubuntu really is an ancient African word meaning humanity to others. It's often described as reminding us of I am what I am because of who we all are. And so I kind of connect with Hawaii in that way as an African, that what we're all doing here today, and we've seen some significant technologies and amazing inventions and things that are going on here. And it's pretty important, I think, and it's pretty significant to the future of what we're all going to be doing together. So I'm humbled to be here. I'm really proud to be part of this movement and this organization of people that want to make a better future for everyone in the meaning of our words that our countries and our territories kind of believe in. So just thought I'd share that with you because it was pretty cool. Okay, now we get down to the the digital twin stuff. So first of all, digital twins is, and sorry, I'm just give me 1 second. I just want to bring it up here because having a look over there, I'm going to get distracted. There we go. Okay. So, if we can go to the next slide, please, thank you. Oh, do I have it? There we go. All right. There we go. Okay, so just a little bit about us. MRC3 International, we've been developing the software for about 20 years, and it's really cutting-edge digital operation management platform. As the General just shared with you, and I share his sentiments absolutely, is that you need to have a system of systems approach to everything that we're doing. I don't think that there's one silver bullet that's going to solve any problem in any technology issue, but I think that all these technologies together are going to allow organizations to really use the best technology for the job. Digital twins are really the, sorry guys, I need to just get this up here. Let me just. Right. So really it's a schematic visualization of any entity or item that you might have in your operation. So a lot of people today are talking about digital twins as the next big thing. This is going to be the revolution that's going to allow us to see what we're doing. But in essence, we've had digital twins for many, many years. If you go back in, our company name is MIC3, which actually stands for Meaningful Intelligence, Command, Control, Collaborate, which is a military term for being able to maneuver command and control assets in the old days. And if you think about what digital twins were in the old days, they were really little objects that we put in war rooms, and there were objects that we put, when we played in the sandpit, we had digital twins of, electronic equipment that we were trying to put together. So what has now happened is the connectivity of those items to the digital world about the sensor information which has brought it to life. So it's the real-time information and connecting of that real-time information to that entity that we're now dealing with into the future. And that's been the tough job, is how do we get all this data and this information real-time to this central point. So Sorry, guys. This thing just, there we go. Right, so armed with the real-time information, a digital twin provides actionable intelligence and actionable, it allows you to do actions live in real time towards what it is that you need to do. Drive information decision making, because once we have this information, it's going to change the way that you make decisions. We as humans are we deal with information differently. So if we see something, for example, if I asked you to give me a standard operating procedure for a fire, touch wood, there's nothing would ever happen, but let's imagine we had a fire here and I said, write down what the SOP was. We would say, okay, let's all stand up, let's lead out in single file, let's do, there'll be a set of procedures that we need to do it. But if there was really a fire here, we'd act very differently. So humans react differently based on the information that we deal with, and a digital twin allows us to make different decision making because we're now seeing something in a form that is not necessarily data, but it's pictures that we can actually make different decision making on. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play a video, if we can. It's a 3-minute video that'll just give you how we tie this all together, because digital twins are just one element within this whole problem that we're trying to solve. And the reality is that digital twins, I know this is not very popular sometimes, but digital twins are like CCTV. It was going to solve the world's problems, and then we took our cheapest resource, put them in the darkest room underground, and said, watch this and tell me when something goes wrong. Digital twins has the same attributes if we're not careful. But what I'm going to talk about later is the now what after this. So we'll show you now a use case of how this actually comes together with the systems of systems that the General was talking about earlier.
Imagine a world in which organizations can own their data, and with the push of a button, orchestrate everything within their ecosystem. Introducing our flagship product and award-winning solution, Effectly. Our software solution is designed for iconic visionaries looking to build sustainable, successful organizations by maximizing efficiencies through access to consolidated real-time data. Effectly is an incredibly powerful and versatile software solution that can be implemented into any industry vertical, and has the ability to integrate and orchestrate any operating division within an organization. Our overarching purpose is to provide our clients with a sustainable, competitive advantage by addressing the people, processes and systems problem that exists. To do this, we methodically and systematically bring people, processes and systems closer together, and in doing so, realize the organization's full potential within what we refer to as the Effectly Optimal Performance Zone. The problem today is that organizations rely on multiple systems, disjointed tools, disparate sets of data, manual systems to manage their business. This results in the organization's inability to make immediate informed decisions. Reactive management. Inefficiencies across the organization. Lost productivity. Data security risks. Non-compliance risks. Potential SLA transgressions. And so much more. Effectly has the ability to integrate existing legacy systems and data sets, then orchestrates all of these disparate systems and data sets into one consolidated platform to deliver a single pane of glass with real-time insights. Effectly ensures data security and reduces costs significantly through its ability to drive informed decision-making for improved efficiencies and increased profitability. Under the hood, Effectly has already proven that it is agile, scalable, and can handle complex multi-tenancy solutions. Our award-winning and compliant software solution seamlessly integrates new and existing systems that an organization is using, and offers additional features and functionality modules to solve some of the most complex problems facing businesses today. We offer customizable solutions through our variety of functionality modules. The most popular modules used by our clients today include a chat and broadcast functionality for contextual communication, a situational awareness module that allows you to pivot any data point and includes things like heat maps and custom map layers. A data visualization module that includes things like digital twins, dashboards and analytics. An AI and machine learning module. Big data analytics that can process millions of data points in real time. and agnostic data ingestion that supports all known digital protocols and IoT devices. One of our proven successes is with one of the largest telco tower companies in the world, who are also listed on the New York Stock Exchange. They were experiencing challenges in meeting their strict SLA criteria. And after adopting our Effectly solution that included things like digital twins and automated job scheduling, they saw a 50% reduction in their mean time to repair. They reduced their emails by over 14 million in 1 month. Then by 31 million emails per month thereafter. They saw a 20+% ROI within the first year. And they had a 99.9% average system availability. The results speak for themselves. Effectly was implemented in almost 11,000 sites in 2016. And through our highly effective multi-tenancy solution, by 2022, Effectly is now being used to monitor close to 30,000 sites for this client. And growing monthly as they acquire new sites. Realize your organization's full potential through the Effectly Optimal Performance Zone. Reduce operating costs. Improve efficiencies. Increase profits. And build long-term sustainable growth through consolidated, real-time data. Effectly. Own your data.
Thank you. So, there we go. Right. So the what you saw there is we believe that data in the future is going to be sovereign, and I think this is something that from a digital twin perspective, you need to make sure that you own this data. The data is going to be the most important information you have to be able to drive decision making around any technology you decide to deploy in your organization. Now, as you deploy all these different systems, as you deploy all these different digital tools, as you deploy all the batteries and the hydrogen solutions that are available, you will find yourself needing to orchestrate this, no matter who you are, any organization, any government, any company that is going to need to do this. And really what we want to try and do is to make sure that we can give the client a single view of the operation through the digital twin. Now, the problem is that a client's organization or integration of these things, in order to create the single pane of glass and the digital twin, it's critical that we have a look at this in what we call contextual orchestration. Because if I understand information from a hydrogen plant and my power grid is doing something else, I'm not going to be able to balance this out as we go forward. And we've heard today, and I concur 100%, there's no silver bullet here that's going to solve the problem. We're going to have to orchestrate as we go forward. So how can we do this orchestration as efficiently as possible is what we should be asking ourselves. Now, the way that we achieve this optimal performance zone is to really do this through what we call your people, your process, and your systems. Now, every organization has those three components. And if we increase the relationship between your people, your processes, and your systems, your optimal performance zone will naturally happen. But what's important here is the ability to be able to connect protocol independent. I was very encouraged to see that NCAP are going towards the open source route, where they're making their technology open source available, because those kind of strategies are what's going to drive it forward in terms of adoption. So wherever possible, go towards open source, go towards open thinking in terms of technology, because the technology is moving so fast. We don't want to get trapped with a way of thinking and say, oh, well, we built this stack on this piece of information or this stack. We rebuilt our platform 4 times in 15 years. I know people may look at us and say, well, you're crazy, maybe you didn't know what you were doing. But the reality is that we kept reaching the limit of what the base technologies could do. And if we didn't make ourselves infinitely scalable in terms of different databases, different front ends, back ends, whatever we wanted, we wouldn't be in a position today where we're protocol independent, device independent, and we can literally read anything of anything. And that was the goal, and that was the mission. So the next thing you need to do is to be able to do this through a workflow that is going to allow you to do command and control, because you need to keep, to make your digital twins relevant, it's very important that you can command and control the business process flow. The next is contextual collaboration. I always tell my clients, please tell me how many emails you send before an implementation and how many after. How many of us are a slave to mail? You know, it's the most inefficient way of communicating. Let's face it. So, you know, when you walk into an office and you see everybody busy, I promise you they're not efficient. They're busy, but not efficient, okay? So what we're trying to do here is how do we make you more efficient? And that's the word effectively. It's making you more efficient. So, and then the ability to present this information. So we need to do the presentation of this information through digital twins. We need to do it through dashboards, charts, and many, many other things. And the final piece I just want to talk about is what we call semantic ontologies. Now, this is a concept that has been a long time in the making, and it really took us 15 years to figure this out, to make semantic ontologies human readable. And the reality is every entity in the universe has a relationship to something else. And what we've got to do is we've got to understand that relationship within the organization. And this is what the digital twin really is going to bring forward. So as we visualize our data and we say, okay, so now we have a tower, if we stick with the cell phone industry, which is using graphene batteries, and they're using hydrogen produced cleanly, and you know, all these wonderful things. The reality is I still need to orchestrate that tower with everything that goes on it. And so what we need to do is we need to say, how many tasks do I have on that tower? What is linked to that tower? Well, I have a whole bunch of other sensors, signals, things that I have connected to these things. What is the relationship of those things, and how does it impact the efficiency of how I run the business? And then, of course, the people that I deal with, how are they connected to the entity and to the asset? And of course, that all comes together in any industry that you're working with and any business that you can think of. This is a method, this is an operating system that allows you to digitize almost any business that you could be running today. Today, obviously, we're focusing on the energy, oil and gas, or the energy sector, but it could apply to any business. We have use cases now in every business you see on the list there today. So thank you very much. We're not going to be doing a demo, but I invite any questions and answers. And thank you very much once again for your attention. And I hope that what we've shared makes sense. It's working towards the hydrogen revolution that seems to be on the way globally. We're working with a shipbuilder in Germany as well, also around some very big, and we won that project as well for what we call smart marinas, because fueling the ships and creating the energy source for the ships, this is all connected. And, putting the foundation in is what we believe in. So once again, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time. And aloha again.
Thank you very much, Glenn. That was really interesting, and I could see where that actually could lead to support for some scenario planning, which is going to be really important for us as we move forward. I see that we're going to be moving into, I should warn you, we're not going to be taking a break. So instead, we're going to move into Mr. T.S. Chung's panel, the presentation and panel that he'll have. But I did want to take just a brief moment. Let's all give Sid Higa a round of applause for managing all of the technology here. So Mr. Chung is an attorney, and evidently a really good one, because he's an attorney in 2 countries. And so if you take a look at the bio, and I would encourage you to do so, you can see that he has operated at the highest levels of both governments. His efforts on behalf of investments and trade and markets and all the variety of things that that you would like to see being done in a way that is encouraging for entrepreneurs and for large businesses and industries. All of that he has touched at one time or another. I was thinking about the fact that I too am an attorney, but I'm kind of like that parish priest, and he's kind of like a cardinal, right? And so with that, Mr. T.S. Chung.
Thank you, Doug. This is a pretty high podium. I'm not sure about being a cardinal. I'm glad to be here. Aloha. It's my first visit in more than 10 years, so it's great to be back in Hawaii. Some things have changed and some things haven't. But it's good to be meeting like this in a post-COVID situation as life is returning to normal. I want to thank Janice for inviting all of us here and organizing this wonderful conference. It's already in the 9th year. We have quite a collection of speakers from all over the world. We just heard from Mr. Scott, who's originally from South Africa and now lives in Malta. So you've traveled a long distance to be here. I kind of know because a couple of weeks ago, my friends here and I traveled to Valencia, Spain, to look at the plant that E-Combustible has built right next to Pamesa to supply their hydrogen fuel. We were very impressed, and our colleagues from Coastwire were also there from Korea and from their office in Europe, in Czech Republic. We've been hearing about, and I personally have been hearing about the hydrogen revolution for about 2 decades, but it seems to be finally happening. It's now, we're not talking about in the future, but it's really happening. So it's really exciting to be here and also living through this truly meaningful energy transition, as we are also witnessing the effects of climate change all around the world, from snowfalls in San Diego and LA, as well as cyclones hitting New Zealand. Things that shouldn't be happening are happening and causing major havoc around the world on industry, on agriculture, and on our daily lives. So I think the time is ripe and right that we hurry up with this energy transition, reduce carbon emission, and leave the world better for ourselves and for our posterity. So let me introduce my colleagues who are on the stage. To my immediate left is Mr. Jongbok Lee. He's the CFO of SNE Solution Company Limited. Mr. Yang, who handles finance, also financing of many projects. He's also with the Synergy Group. And Mr. Yoon Ju-tae, Vice Chairman of SNE. He is also helping us finance billions of projects that are going to be taking place in Korea, in Hawaii, and around the world. I've been given a lot of time, and you may be scared that I'll be taking up full hour. I don't want to do that because we seem to be running ahead of schedule this afternoon, which I think is a good thing. As some of you know, all four of us just landed this morning from Korea, so I could take some rest also in the afternoon. So let me go through this presentation quickly. So I want to talk to you today about the, as the name says here, green hydrogen power plant that we'll be doing in Hawaii, right in your backyard. This will be the conversion of the coal-fired plant that was shut down last September. But you do need the energy to replace the energy that you lost by shutting it down. And I'm sure you probably feel the pain of that in the form of monthly utility bills. And we want to make a dent in that as soon as possible. So can you flip it through? Do I have a, oh, I have a control. That's a good thing. So where do I? On the side? Oh, okay. Getting little by little. Great. So the consortium, I mean, we hear today the participants are all friends and members of the consortium of Water Energy Group, and also in person, Janice Ko, I guess. It's Janice and her friends from Hawaii and all around the world that are here today. This green hydrogen background is, in terms of our group, is Synergy and SNE Solution. We bring a good team of people with a unique combination of skills to address energy transition. We have people with experiences and background in international power plant development, renewable energy sector operations, and financial advisory and capital placement for energy projects. So it's the power development expertise, renewable energy expertise, combined with ability to raise financing. Because, as you know, these power projects take a lot of money, and without the ability to finance them, we're not going to be able to achieve our goals. So the people who are involved, they are listed at the bottom of the chart, starting with Janice Ko, who's the CEO of SNE, Mr. Lee Jong-bok, CFO, and Mr. Yoon Ju-tae, Vice Chairman. You also heard from Mike Upshaw earlier. And also this morning, even though I missed the presentation, Pablo Eckart from E-Combustible, Brad Hammond, who also works with Mike Upshaw, and John Van Dyke and Brian Tom as well. So next slide. So our group has partnered with WEG to combine our skills with the local expertise and understanding. The power projects have direct environmental impact, so the local conditions are very important. The relationship with local government, the municipalities, not just with the state or the federal government, is a key to success of many of these projects. Now, Hawaii, as you all know, has an ambitious objective to achieve net zero emission by 2045. But you suffer from this temporary power shortage stemming from the shutdown of the coal plant last September, and you're still very heavily dependent on diesel and fuel oil. The wind and solar power, the traditional renewable energy sources, have not yielded as much result in Hawaii to date, in part because of the space requirements. And the battery storage, as you have heard earlier this morning, is becoming more costly because of the rising lithium and cobalt and other mineral prices. And closing of coal and natural gas power plants carry a cost for the consumers because of stranded capital. Here we step in to fill the void by offering a technology solution that can address many of the challenges that are needed in transition to renewable energy. And we have a low-cost hydrogen fuel source with zero emission to generate electricity. And this flexible fuel can be used to convert existing coal and natural gas-fired power plants at low cost. And this will reduce your state's dependence on fossil fuel, including LNG. And the good news is that we'll invest to develop this attractive development opportunity to turn it into a reality. And our business model is low risk, and that'll generate stable revenue and cash flows. And at the same time, we'll try to take advantage of generous government tax incentives and investment incentives offered to hydrogen fuel developers. Okay, next. Let me give you the overview of the green hydrogen and production characteristics and the technologies involved. You've actually heard some of this before. In terms of local market conditions analysis, you all know you don't have any indigenous natural gas or coal or fuel oil, so all of this is imported into Hawaii at this time. And you have limited solar and wind power. And in converting the coal, the previous coal plant and the existing fuel oil plants, we also try to incorporate community benefits, taking into account the unique aspects of Hawaii. Our hydrogen project design and development offers flexible hydrogen fuel whose calorific content is close to the fuel it replaces, and it is modular so that it can be deployed very close to the power plant site or the customer's site, and it's scalable. And most of all, also, the production cost is comparable to the fuel oil in terms of dollars per MMBTU. Next page. I think we can skip this page because you've already heard about the different colors of hydrogen, from green, pink, violet, turquoise, blue, and gray, brown, and white. So I think I can skip that. Our solution is competitive because we provide green hydrogen at low cost. And both of those are very important, that it is green and low cost. You've also heard earlier about the dual fuel turbines, which can be ideal for greenfield expansion projects. And we have relationships with global capital providers. We have two of them sitting on the stage. And we will try to minimize project cost. Our green hydrogen technology partner, you've actually heard from him earlier today. And it's a proprietary technology with already established performance. And it's currently the industry's lowest supply price. And the good news is that they can also provide this at a fixed cost for a long period of time, like 10 years. And the fabrication is flexible, and we're trying to provide for local production as much as possible. This reduces deployment time, and in many countries, local content is very important, and local production also maximizes tax benefits. Now, this, in terms of thermal, the fuel uses, the largest use in the world right now, as I understand, is thermal, which is almost like 80%, and about 20% is power generation. And we can satisfy both needs, addressing two largest needs in the world in terms of energy consumption. Yeah. Next page. Right. So this, our systems have properties suitable for fuel conversion, and this is because we are working with the e-combustible. You've already heard about their technology and the characteristics of their fuel. And the thing that I'm most impressed about is that their customized hydrogen fuel can match the heat content and specific gravity of the fossil fuel it replaces. And there really isn't anything like that. So this can be very applicable in many places where the costs are high, like in Hawaii, but it's also true in Korea, which imports 99% of its fuel requirements. Now, this fuel is produced from water, and I think we may be able to skip it because you heard probably from Pablo this morning. Now, another good thing, oh, you already skipped. I see. Their equipment doesn't need a big footprint. That's another big advantage in places like islands and Korea, where population density is high. Now, let's talk about briefly the green hydrogen supply model. Compared to the standard turnkey electrolyzer model, our model, the Synergy and SNE hydrogen supply model, is more competitive because we can have the dedicated production right at the location next to the consumer, and we can supply hydrogen under a long-term hydrogen fuel supply contract at a price that is very attractive and can be fixed for a long period of time without having the customer worry about the operation and maintenance cost. And we can easily expand production because ours is modular and scalable. This is a comparison chart of SNE solution comparing against 3 other industry leaders. And you can see that our cost is the lowest at $17, and offer other advantages like no additional O&M expense and no capital cost, because we'll be financing the equipment and construction. Talking about the project in Hawaii, this is the conversion of Bobbar's Point Power Plant, previously a coal-fired 200 megawatt power plant, which supplied power to HECO and then the local community. But in addition to that, we have other projects with the military in Hawaii, including with the U.S. Navy at Pearl Harbor and with the U.S. Army at Schofield Barracks. And the Pearl Harbor project could be from 50 to 200 megawatt, and the Schofield Barracks is a 64 megawatt project. So we have a number of project possibilities in Hawaii. Not just these three, but there'll be other projects that we're looking at. Now, the economic analysis, I'm not sure how detailed we need to go in here. But on this chart, we prepared for 364 megawatts of power, basically including three projects, which is the Bobbar's Point coal-fired plant at 200 megawatt, and the Pearl Harbor project at 100 megawatt, and HECO oil power plant at 64 megawatts. So these in total, we're looking at supplying 364 megawatts of power to Hawaii, and at the cost of 17 US dollars at MMBTU of hydrogen, and that's the hydrogen price. Our total capex is $550 million. You see that on the top left under the category sum, capex cost, which will be invested in the first few years to build the plants, and then we'll be operating it over 20-year period. And then, so the total gross revenue over 22-year period, including 2 years of construction, is over $8 billion. And you net out the operation, maintenance, and cost of over $5 and $6 billion, leaving a sales profit of $2.5 billion, which is quite substantial. This is all over 22-year period. So if you are interested in detail, we can share this with you later, but I think we can just mention that this will be a quite profitable investment. And to show you generally who is involved and the financial wherewithal that is backing these projects, we will just show you briefly the parties involved. The Synergy from Thailand, represented by Mr. Yang in the middle, and they have made a commitment for up to $5.5 billion of capital for projects in Hawaii, Korea, and elsewhere. So we are fully ready, both on the technology side, the management side, as well as financial parties to undertake these projects that we talked about in Hawaii. In addition, we are working on other projects in Korea as well as in Europe. As we speak, as I'm speaking now, I have a team of people that are working on final stages of preparing a proposal for submission in Cyprus. Deadline is tomorrow, actually, March 16th, where Cyprus is trying to build a hydrogen hub pilot under the EU program. And Cyprus is pretty close to Malta, I think, where Glenn Scott resides now. So once that takes off, I think that'll be a good model to spread around the rest of EU as well as the rest of the world. In Korea, we have an island called Jeju, which is a little larger than Oahu, which has been designated by the government of Korea as the hydrogen demonstration province, doing a lot of things that many island economies are trying to do, starting with renewable, and Jeju also has solar and wind, and connecting to that renewable is the hydrogen generation, and then you have multiple uses of hydrogen, including power generation, mobility, and other uses. So this is kind of the typical hydrogen hub, hydrogen ecosystem that many countries and economies are trying to build. And we are very happy to be here to work on your program in Oahu. And because we are also involved in projects in other parts of the world, including Korea and hopefully in Cyprus and elsewhere, I think we're very well suited to be your partner in the state of Hawaii. So thank you for the invitation, and we are very happy to be here. Aloha and mahalo. Yeah. Our CFO, Mr. Lee, wants to also make a comment.
안녕하세요. 안녕하세요. 저는 이종복입니다.
Hello, my name is Jongbok Lee.
저희 SNE 솔루션은 코스트 와이어하고 그다음에 워터 에너지 그룹과 더불어서 저희가 하와이, 그다음 한국의 이제 수소, 그린 수소 발전소 그리고 수소 생산에 대해서 진행하고 있습니다.
SNE, together with our partners, Coastwire and WEG, Water Energy Group, are trying to be involved in green hydrogen projects in Hawaii and elsewhere around the world.
저희의 기술적인 배경은 여기 좀 있는 아까 아침에 발표한 이 컨버스터블의 기술을 가지고 지금 마케팅을 하고 있는데요.
Our fuel comes from e-combustible, represented by Mr. Pablo Icard, who spoke earlier this morning.
가장 중요한 그게 들어가는 이제 자금, 캐피털을 좀 많이 확보해서 각각의 프로젝트에 완전을 기하고 있습니다.
Independently, we have secured a large amount of financing to undertake multiple projects in Hawaii and elsewhere.
이곳 하와이에서 시작된 그런 그린 하이드로젠 프로젝트가 한국 그리고 전 세계에 퍼져나갈 수 있도록 최선을 다하겠습니다.
The green hydrogen project that we are going to start with in Hawaii, this will be our starting point to expand to Korea and around the world.
감사합니다.
Thank you very much. 두 분은 뭐 하실 말이 없나요? 네. At this point, should we just step down? Or is this Q&A or anything like that? I think we'd be happy to step down. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, what's the phrase? Discretion is the better part of valor. In this particular case, I think that if we have questions, and I'm sure there will be conversations anyway, that can happen after they've actually had a chance to rest a little bit. At this point, we are going to move into the stage where I speak for the next hour and a half so that we meet our break. No, I'm just kidding. But what I would like to do is thank all of the speakers today. We will have speakers that will be here tomorrow, obviously, and we'll be looking forward to those presentations. Also thank Alelo for being here. Thank Sid again for his efforts. All of the team that prepared the food and all that kind of stuff. But before I go along too long, because I'm actually stealing her thunder, you know, there are some folks that we know by a single name, right? Like Cher or Madonna, right? So I present to you Janice.
Thank you so much for great work. Let's give us a round of applause for Doug Adams. He was traveling and flew out from Kona this morning. Yesterday, Nolan Johnson came, and we went to Sam's Mart to get all those drinks, heavy load, and it was full of his rental car, and he brought it this morning. And Doug McConnell, bless his soul, every forum he brings his beautiful 100% Kona coffee for all of the attendees. Every forum he did that. And and he was in LA working with Coast Group, and he's working with Coast Group because they invested a Maclay Golf Course, and he's working on to make the Kona coffee farm plantation work. And so I kind of accumulated the mileage from all the speakers. Dr. Nin flew in yesterday from Vietnam to Tokyo to Honolulu yesterday. Dr. Ra, ADV, from Manila headquarters to Korean Air, and then to Honolulu. Goodness, so he arrived yesterday. And then Glenn Scott and, my goodness, Pablo Eckhart from Spain. I don't want to think about his route because it's very, very far. And then from Malta to Dubai, from Germany to Philippines and Vietnam to Kona to Khmer, and it's incredible, and they're a great mind to share with us. And then also, I'm very glad to see Mr. Tom Sorensen from Scan Furniture, but then now he owns Inspiration Furniture. He's also very interested in energy sector because he's building a great warehouse storage warehouse right next to AES that Tess just mentioned about. And he needed a lot of power. Somehow the power plant shut down. So that impacts, because you gotta have that grid from HICO, that means skyrocketing energy cost. So our interest is different, either consumer to the builder or developer, project developer, or investor. Today we had the vast majority of, from technology to investment to cover. So I'm very glad to learn of their expertise, especially from e-commerce. I missed the Spain trip, but the TS and Coastwire SNE went to, and also Mike Upshaw went to Spain. Mike went Spain twice in less than a month. So I give him credit for it. And inviting the Pablo to come here, it's a really great deal for us. And so that, as you can see, the HICO was here, Hawaii Energy Office, representing the mayor, the Governor Green's message. And also we had the gas company, Hawaiian Gas Company came, and we had a Power Hawaii, and all of those fossil fuel corporations showed great interest to present and send their representatives. And also we have House representatives. Obviously Jackson Sayama was here, and Jackson, also the colleague of Jackson Sayama, Representative Samuel Satoru Kong, his office and all of his staff and interns came to support. And also with Sidney Higa and Scotty Wang, and with Olelo guys in the back, we give him a round of applause as well. So he's recording entire session, and we'll make it available in YouTube. And also, obviously, we had a technical difficulty. The Zoom link somehow didn't work. A firewall was very, very secure, too secure. So we had Israel, South Africa, and the Big Island, and California, Korea. A lot of audiences wanted to link in, somehow could not. So we will have this video session available for anyone who would like to have it viewed. And so we'll have a whole session to be available by Olelo as well. And all of you, each one of you, are very important to show the interest, because you care for humanity and you care for climate change and all of that. And then we all of a sudden we are talking about hydrogen. So from solar to wind and ESS and lithium to all the different types of battery. And today I was so glad to learn of those transformative and disruptive energy technologies that are all good for not only for Hawaii but for Korea, and that shows full commitment from investors. So Mr. Yoon Ji-tae and Yang Seok-yang, along with Mr. Jong-bo Lee, with Tia Chung came here is to show the commitment, the full commitment of Korea has $5.5 billion. We were begging, can you have some divided interest, divided commitment for Hawaii? And they were kindly considering Hawaii. And we sort of, right now, we are starting with $500 million. And the first initial investment of $100 million will start to flow. We're working on with the lawyers to bring in as escrow account for the project development, particularly for Hawaii. And this morning, Warren Lee was here, and we'll meet him again, and we'll go to State Energy Office tomorrow. And so we have all the second meetings taking place. Pablo is leaving on 20, so we have a few more days with Michael and Brad to have second and third discussions to sort of finalize. And even though the Coastwire executives will return, Ye Lee actually is from Atlanta to support CDU, and Mr. Kyu-do Kim, he's a team leader for the new business development of Coastwire. They happened to invest in Makalei Golf Course last year successfully, and they're very interested in energy projects because their partners are POSCO, the largest, world's largest steel production company. And so our partnership is incredible because of our intent. It's not about just the investment alone, but it making obviously the difference in this energy world. Just like General Wharton mentioned, how even though third world countries, they would like to share the best and most advanced technology, but without much of their investment capabilities. And so that in mind, I think we have a lot more to achieve with the shortest time, with the help from this experts from Ecombustible and NCAB and Evotax and Siemens Energy, who are just incredibly advanced, and they're willing to share and traveled all the way to Little Hawaii community to show their commitment and show their interest. And that we are very grateful. And so on behalf of Councilmember Calvin Say, he sort of caught in session, and so he couldn't be here. But he'll be here tomorrow for his closing remarks, where he started with me 8 years ago. Every year we kind of have done this with the state, and I'm very grateful for him to lead and chairing every session with me all the way. And so we're trying to finish up today because we started so early, and everybody traveled yesterday, this morning, and probably all the time zone is all going crazy. And so hopefully you will have a good break this evening to have a good rest. And we're going to start at 9 o'clock. And we'll have Doug Adams to MC, which he kindly accepted my request. So I'm very grateful. And we will see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock rather than 7:30 and 8 this morning. So get some long break, and would like to see your lovely face tomorrow. And thank you so much from my bottom of my heart. Thank you. We are POW. Oh, sorry, just one last thing. So Consulate Generals, Consulate General of Republic of Korea, Honolulu, have sent the consular section, the economy consular, Miss Park Hye-yeon. She was here this morning, and she's in this afternoon. We welcome her, representing the government of South Korea. And also my retired colonel, Michael, Doug, Doug, sorry. So we have Kim Won-young 목사님. So we have a very special guest from Michael. Listen, please. Once he starts, he doesn't stop. So I wanted to recognize Mr. Eun-young Kim. He's a retired Air Force colonel. He flew F-15 jet flight for Korea, Republic Korea Air Force. And he's graduate of Air Force Academy. But now he's a pastor. He studied theology, and now he is like a chaplain. And he was here all day today, and he'll be here tomorrow. He flew from Korea. And then we also have Associate Pastor Bae. He is from Marine Corps. And he'll be here also tomorrow. His daughter is studying engineering. And so he is particularly interested in all subject matter today. He said, oh, my daughter should be here. So we are grateful for that. And we have very precious missionaries also from Czech Republic and from Korea, from Hawaii, Christine Kim. And those three ladies in the back. So if you have any spiritual issues, they are there to support and pray for you. Thank you so much.